Hi, my name is Rebecca. It's been a bit of a crazy year, so I'm here to share a little bit of my backstory and tips and tricks of how I grew pretty much a side gig of tutoring into a six-figure business in less than a year. There's no secret science, there's no secret sauce, but I want to give you a little bit of a backstory. So, my degree is in education. I graduated from college in 2015 from UCF with a degree in science education, did the traditional route, student teaching, and did some tutoring on the side once I got into my first year of teaching. What happens early on is I have a unique scenario where I get extremely sick, have some crazy surgeries. So I do some tutoring on the side, go back to teaching, and then a couple of years in a hospital. But from all those experiences, before I had my kids, is I got really good at learning how to do test prep. I got good at learning how to do math well, and just in general, how to build rapport with teens, being a little bit younger sometimes than their average teacher. Move forward into 2023. So I had taken about 2 years off. In the beginning of 2023, I had my third daughter. My daughters at this age were 3, 1, and then a newborn. And then we moved back to our small hometown in Florida so that we could be closer to the grandparents. My husband was working full remote. I was a stay-at-home mom for a little bit because I was doing some tutoring on the side, but when you have 3 kids that young, that's a full-time job plus more. That being said, when we moved back to our small town, it was crazy because, long story short, we were under contract with a house. My husband, true breadwinner, works in tech, got laid off. Put a little bit of a plot twist. Thanks to our down payment and him able to secure another job decently fast, we were okay, but it was stressful when we moved with a 2-month-old and 2 other young children. What happened when we moved is I knew I needed a job. I would have loved going back to the school district, but I had 3 young kids. If you have young kids, you know how crazy expensive childcare is. At the time, knew I needed a little bit more income. So I moved back to my small town and I took a job at a preschool. And it was honestly an extremely hard job, but I got to be in the baby room with my daughter during a good chunk of her early years and got to snuggle her and my other babies. That being said, I knew we needed more income. I love tutoring. It's always been fun. And so what happened at the end of kind of Christmas time, a little bit of fall part of it in 2023 is once I weaned my daughter, I ended up just posting on Facebook in the small town saying, hey, this is my background. I'm looking to do some tutoring. Started back again and ended up getting my first client locally. Going a little bit back stepping, I had done some tutoring through Wisant, so I already had an online platform that I could share reviews with families. And also me growing up in the town, some people I kind of knew, and there was a good word of mouth kind of situation too, because good reputation growing up, my family is very involved in the community, so that helps a little bit. So I started tutoring on the side, doing a little bit of test prep, doing just some math help for a pretty low cash amount. So that was great. I was like, okay, this is fun. Let me take a few more kids because I was enjoying extra cash, and I was able to flex it around my husband's schedule who worked from home. And, do some evenings and weekends, which is not my favorite, but it helped. So what happened is I started getting busier and busier while juggling working at the preschool and 3 kids. Disclaimer, 3 kids in daycare. So that means I was having 3 kids who were getting sick and all the 9 yards. So it was a little bit of a mess. And I started getting busier and more requests, and I was honestly loving it. I was like, oh, great. I am, teaching older kids again. I drive well with this age group. So I started getting the wheels turning. I'm like, oh, man, what if instead of going back to the school district, maybe I do this, maybe get my master's degree or something like that. What happened from there is I realized I started doing my craft pretty well. I had some really good success, and that started getting the word of mouth. Then what happened after that is just mind boggling. I had 3 wonderful teachers reach out to me via cold email, as in the disclaimer is 2 of them were a husband and wife pair. They were kind of a package deal together. That being said, these 3 amazing teachers guided me and just came to me looking for some more tutoring. So what happened is we fleshed out a pretty much a contractor protocol where I would give them some clients that I couldn't take on, and it would be a little bit of a kickback system. So they would still be making great money. And then we kept getting busier and busier and busier. And I finished out my preschool school year as backing down as many hours as I could. And then I closed the door. What happened over the summer is I wanted to go all in. So I quit the preschool job, tutoring full time, which was absolutely crazy. And then I was still getting busier and busier and a little bit stressed out. And I was thinking, I'm like, how on earth is this going to be sustainable? Because I was doing like some social media advertisement. I was sending back emails. I was getting tons of families who wanted help this summer, which that surprised me because I thought summer was going to be a little bit of a quiet mode, but not quite. So I started hiring this summer and started getting more and more and more awesome contractors on my team. And so from that, the company grew and grew and grew. And as of, I believe it was about 45 days ago, we actually broke 6 figures in revenue as a company. We have now launched a brick and mortar. We are doing things a little bit different than the open box, and we're serving so many kids, and it's been such a blessing. So my goal with all this is, I'm giving this long-winded story, not just to rant, but I know there's a lot of wonderful educators out here and potentially on this platform that might want to know, like, how do I do this in retirement, or how do I even start with tutoring? So my goal is to kind of give you this backstory, kind of provide some resources and tips and tricks, what worked for me. Even in the short time, I could share what didn't work for me and just kind of give you some advice. But I look forward to having everyone on this journey together.